Hey everybody, Brian Tro coming to you from Mossy Creek Fly Fishing with your fly fishing forecast. The date for today is Tuesday the 2nd of April. All right, so April is here and it is a awesome month to fish here in Virginia. It's a month of change. Everything's gonna be changing rapidly. That's why we have a lot of wind, a lot of rain, cold temperatures, warm temperatures, back and forth. So I'm going to try and keep you all up to date on everything's happening, and also look, a few weeks ahead so we can kind of stay ahead of the game. So let's start off with bugs, okay? Because we have a lot of insects, a lot of aquatic insects that hatch this time of year. May is right around the corner. They don't call them mayflies for nothing, but we have a lot of insects that hatch in the month of April. All right, so as we touched on in March, we had quills, red quills, quill gordons. Those are still coming off in places depending on where you are. As we go into the month of April, we're going to start cycling through, and we'll get Hendricksons and we'll get light Cahills, a lot of our traditional mayflies. And then it is a great month for Caddis, okay? Caddis will be hatching like crazy up in the mountains, on our spring creeks, and also on our larger freestone streams, trout streams here in the valley. And there'll be caddis of every color, light caddis, brown caddis, olive caddis. So you guys really need to stock up. The tires need to be tying. You need your caddis emergers, all right? As much as I love to fish an elk hair caddis, so often the fish end up not actually eating the dry caddis that is on the surface, all right? Caddis are strong swimmers, so when it's their time to come up to the surface, they swim rapidly to the surface. And unlike mayflies that fill with gas and come up slowly and then have to slowly pull themselves out of their casing and sit on the surface and float like little sailboats until their wings are dry, caddis come out dry. And so they swim quickly and then they take off and fly away. They also come back and skitter and skate and dance to lay their eggs, okay? So there's some frustration with that. The trout oftentimes chase this bug only to come up with a big whiff at the end. So when you see trout this time of year jumping out of the water, a lot of times they're chasing a caddis up to the surface. And you have to be careful as a dry fly fisherman, because what we want to do is immediately go and put on a topwater caddis. The problem is they weren't really looking at the surface. They followed their food up, took it when it was most vulnerable, and then returned to the bottom. So you got to play this game a little bit. It's not always obvious how high up in the water column the fish are, how deep it is, how far they're swimming. But so often you'll switch over, you'll put on that dry, nothing will happen. And so what I do in that case is I have wet flies. I still fish traditional wet flies. They never stopped working, okay? People just got distracted by shiny beads and all kinds of great other things that we like to tie with. So if you don't have traditional wet flies, things like leadwing coachmans and such that you can fish and swing and let them catch, you can simply put on a small split shot in front of your elk hair caddis and sink it and let it fish as a nymph, and then let it catch and let it rise. So you have to get slightly upstream of your target. It is deadly, okay? That rising caddis coming up through the water column is a trigger. It's like the ice cream truck is leaving the neighborhood, and they will come flying after it. So give that a try this April. If you're out there fishing, you see a fish or two jumping, you see fish slashing after bugs, okay? Remember, as water temps come up through this month, the metabolism of the trout comes up. In fact, you could say in many places that it hits peak in April or May, okay? Because then here in Virginia, things will start getting warmer, and they'll be on the backside of that peak metabolism or peak energy. So the trout will be willing to chase and willing to pursue, all right? So that's just a little food for thought. Also looking ahead, the end of the month is when our sulfur start for you tires. That's like one of the first really, really big spring creek hatches that we're gonna have. So kind of get on the vices and get ready for your sulfurs. We'll talk more about that later on. All right, so up in the mountains, water flows are perfect. We've had a good shot of rain today. They're calling for a lot of rain tonight, a lot of rain tomorrow, and then really cold air coming back in. Temperatures, highs in the upper 40s, lows below freezing. Looks like Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So a little bit colder going into the end of this week, which is to be expected. It's April. Winds too. Whenever you go from really hot yesterday, it was 74 degrees, and the cold front comes through, and you're going to have wind. All right. So good time to head up in the mountains. Protects you a little bit in the woods up there from some of these winds. Same thing as in March. We're still fishing nymphs plenty of times. Colder days, colder mornings, fishing nymphs, doing better with nymphs, pheasant tails, hare's ears, some of these little mini mops. Those things look like caddis casings, okay? Little caddis pupa. So those are all fishing really well for your brook trout. And then at some point, if it warms up, if they start eating on the top quite a bit, everyone's been doing well, especially in the warmer afternoon hours. Attractor patterns, quill Gordons, also parachutes, purple parachutes have been working really well. So pick your poison. Hopefully they're not too selective on the creek that you're on, and there's a lot of options to get out there. Moving downhill, we have 2 more months to really enjoy our delayed harvest, our managed trout water. So some of those might get one more stocking, some of them may be done, but they're fishing really, really well right now. Water levels are awesome. If we end up getting 1.5 inches or 2 inches of rain, you really need to watch those streams. They're typically larger. They're gonna get swollen. So keep an eye out on our water levels over the next 2 days, because they're calling for at least 1 inch, maybe 2 inches before it's all said and done. All right, spring creeks have been fishing really well. We'll have some more photos and stuff coming from some of the spring creeks like Mossy in the next day or so. You can't beat this. Overcast, good shot of rain, warm right ahead of the front. I'm always preaching the barometer, especially on spring creeks, and it doesn't get any better than this right here. Like really, really warm air, light winds out of the south, overcast, dropping barometer, and really cold air coming in behind it. So today, tomorrow, those are the days to fish Mossy, and then it'll get tougher a day or two when that cold front pushes through, and it'll start to improve again. All right, sculpins, always fishing dark flies against these white skies. Okay, that's what you want for that good silhouette. All right, and moving on down to our bigger rivers. It's April now, so we pretty much give the muskie a rest. This is the month where they're spawning, they're hard to find, they spread out, and they're gonna be spawning for the month of April. So we'll be out looking for some bass. We'll try and keep tabs on what the muskie are doing, but typically we don't pick back up on the muskie fishing until May. All right, now speaking of bass, warm water fish, water temps are coming up slowly. So they're starting to move slightly out of their wintering lies and tucked into the corner of those wintering holes. They begin to move outward. Maybe they'll still stay in the pool, but they'll venture further. They'll venture longer. The bigger fish will be the first ones to really start to move. They need more calories. There's more demand on their bodies. They're going to be your big spawners, so they're going to have a lot of energy expelled. They've done this a long time. They know the routine. So they're going to be spreading out looking for some bigger food. We've already had some good days smallmouth fishing on the Shenandoah and the James. More to come. Cold fronts like this can really set back the bass fishing for a couple days. It's no big deal. We'll give some more updates, information on spawn as it gets closer, but we're several weeks away from that happening. And if we have a really cold spring, we could be as much as a month and a half away from that happening. So we'll keep everybody up to date on the goings on with the largemouth and with the smallmouth and some of our warm water species. So until then, get out and enjoy it. The trout fishing is awesome. If you are interested in getting on a new piece of water, going up into the mountains, going into West Virginia, you need information, you know, on where to go and what to use, give us an email, give us a call, or stop by. We'll pull the maps out, help you out. Something to put down on your calendar is our spring open house that we have every year. This will be to celebrate 21 years in business, and that date is Saturday, the 20th of April. So those of you who've been here, you know the routine. Tons of wonderful food, free drinks, free information, great camaraderie. You can learn a lot and have a lot of fun. So try and make some plans to come to Harrisonburg on the 20th, Saturday the 20th of April. And you can come by the shop, get some barbecue, learn a thing or two, and then head out to the water and fish. So, all right, everybody, I will see you next week.